Hello y'all, welcome to Tom's Honest Tips. I'm Tom and this is the Skytech Gaming Nebula. This, I think, is the best pre-built gaming PC under $1,500. And how much does it cost exactly? Well, $1,480. Is that a lot? Probably, but for an RTX 4070, I think this is great. Though I have some things to talk about which might be more important down the line. First, let's talk about the CPU and the RAM. This PC uses the Ryzen 5 5600X and 16GB of DDR4 RAM. You heard that right, DDR4. It's kind of odd, seeing DDR4 RAM in the age of DDR5, but I'll let you in on a little secret. The performance increase in DDR5 RAM isn't really all that significant compared to DDR4 RAM. I mean, objectively, it is better, but it's not yet significantly better. Soon, maybe, who knows, but for now, DDR4 RAM is not bad at all. The Ryzen 5 5600X CPU also isn't bad. I mean, sure, it's a tiny bit old, but it's not so old that you'll experience the worst kinds of bottlenecks here and there. Performance overall with these specifications will still be great. The GPU on this is also the RTX 4070, by the way, with 12GB of VRAM. I personally think this is great for 1440p. Anyway, benchmarks. Starting off with a competitive game, Valorant, and what do you know it, at 1440p at the highest settings, we get a wildly varying average FPS of around 250 to 300 frames per second. Honestly though, you probably wouldn't be able to discern the difference between these two figures, but hey, if you're using a 240Hz monitor, then this is great. Forza 5 at extreme settings, again at 1440p with ray tracing set to high, we get an average FPS of around 130 to 150 frames per second. What about Grand Theft Auto 5? At very high settings at 1440p, the average FPS varies between 100 FPS to 150 FPS in some circumstances though. This is great considering we're at 1440p. If you want more FPS, you can just tone down the settings or the resolution, but then again, why? You're averaging at least 100 frames per second anyway. And finally, another Rockstar title, by the way, Red Dead Redemption 2. It performs well at ultra settings at 1440p, averaging around 70 to almost 100 frames per second. Now 1440p is a pretty demanding resolution, so if you're fine with going 1080p, there's no shame in that. More performance, better experience, but still, this card is great for 1440p gaming. The 16GB of DDR4 RAM isn't that bad at all really, but you could do much more with 32GB, and we've got just the upgrade for you. More on that in a teeny tiny bit. You've also got a 1TB SSD installed, which I think should be a moderate offering. Anyhow, you can scan this QR code on the left here for the PC, and of course, on the right for the RAM upgrade kit. With that, you're effectively doubling the RAM, which is great if you need to multitask or do productivity tasks on the side. Anyway, I'm Tom, thanks for watching.